Every Wednesday, at exactly 6:12 p.m., a man in a gray coat dropped a folder full of papers. No delays, no exceptions, not a single mistake. At first, I didn't pay attention. In a big city, it's easy to believe in coincidences. People take the same routes, live by schedules, repeat their habits. But when the same event repeats 6 weeks in a row, it's no longer a habit. It's a system. The first week, I just walked past. The second, I slowed down. The third, I stopped. 6:12 p.m. He walks. Gray coat, black folder. 3 steps to the intersection. The folder falls. Papers scatter across the pavement. I kneel down to help. On the top page, printed text. Scene 47. Secondary character begins to suspect. I read it twice. Then I looked up. The man was staring at me as if I had done something wrong. Not just helped by accident, not just happened to be nearby, but stepped beyond what was allowed. "You didn't see anything," he said quietly. He snatched the pages, turned, and walked away. And in that moment, the world stopped. Literally. The car at the traffic light froze. A woman holding her phone stood motionless, mouth slightly open. A pigeon hung suspended in mid-air. The sound disappeared. The wind, the hum of tires. Absolute silence. And then, everything resumed, as if someone had pressed play. I stood in the middle of the street trying to convince myself I was just tired, that it was stress, that sometimes the brain fills in things that aren't there. But the next week, it happened again. And again, 6:12 p.m. This time I didn't step in, I just watched. The folder falls, he gathers the papers, he leaves. No glitch, no pause, as if the system had corrected the error. I started noticing details. The barista at the coffee shop smiled the same way every morning, word for word. "Your usual?" I answered, No sugar today." She blinked. "Your usual?" Same tone, same rhythm, even the same tilt of her head. "You already said that," I replied. Her smile widened, but her eyes didn't change, like an image layered over emptiness. I walked outside with the feeling that I was being watched. That evening, I turned on the TV. Regular news, weather, traffic, nothing unusual, until the anchor looked directly into the camera. Not to the side, not toward the studio, straight into the lens. If he continues deviating from the script, we'll have to intervene. I was alone in the apartment. He couldn't be talking to me, but he was. I thought about the Truman Show, a world built as a set, cameras behind every corner, a man who didn't know his life was a show. Then the Matrix, reality as code, an illusion layered over nothingness. There was only one difference. They had a hero. I didn't. I decided to test the boundaries. The next day I took a different route to work, turned into a courtyard I had never entered before, walked 3 blocks, and came out on my own street. I stopped, turned around, walked in a random direction again. 20 minutes later, the same intersection, the same billboard, the same cracked asphalt. The city seemed to redraw itself around me, returning me to the starting point. I began saying strange things to strangers. "The sky is green today." Most ignored me, but one man stopped, looked up at the sky, and said, "The sky is green today." Same voice, same expression, like a reflection. That night, I didn't sleep. At 3:17 a.m., I heard a click. Short, sharp. The lights flickered. The wall in front of me trembled,
and became transparent, just for a second, but it was enough. There was no neighboring apartment behind it, no street. There was a metal framework, cables, massive studio lights, like a film set. The sky, flat, like a screen, and behind it, darkness, deep, endless. I blinked, and the wall was normal again. The next morning, an envelope lay under my door. No stamp, no address. Inside, one line. You went beyond the script. And coordinates. I went because I had no choice. When reality cracks, you either close your eyes or look all the way through. It was an old hangar on the edge of the city. Empty, dark. Inside, a metal door. A sign on it read, "Exit for staff." Not for actors, not for viewers, for staff. I suddenly understood. If this is a show, I'm not the main character. I'm a secondary one, a background figure, a variable. And if a variable begins to understand the system, it gets deleted. A low hum sounded behind me. I turned around. The city began to disappear. Buildings dissolved as if erased. The sky darkened. The light faded. Layers shutting down one by one. Then a voice, cold, emotionless. Subject 18 has reached self-reflection threshold. Prepare reset. In the next version, reduce curiosity level. I stood in front of the door and realized this wasn't an exit. It was a delete button. But if I didn't open it, the system would reset anyway. I grabbed the handle. The metal was cold. I opened the door. White light, so bright that the outline of my body vanished. Sound disappeared. Thoughts disappeared. Silence. Every Wednesday, at exactly 6:12 p.m., a man in a gray coat dropped a folder full of papers. I walk past. For a second, I hesitate. It feels like something is wrong, like I've seen this before, like something isn't right. But the thought slips away, and I keep walking, because today is Wednesday, 6:12 p.m., and everything is going according to the script.
Every Wednesday, at exactly 6:12 p.m., a man in a gray coat drops a folder full of papers. I walk past him, and for some reason, I feel like I've seen this before. The thought pierces from the inside. 1 second. 2. And suddenly, instead of the usual emptiness in my head, something remains. Not an image, not a memory, an error. I slow my step. Today, everything is slightly different. The people around me move too synchronously. A woman with a stroller turns at the exact moment the light turns green. A guy with headphones trips exactly where he's supposed to. I stop. The man in the gray coat gathers his papers. One sheet slips out and slides across the asphalt toward me. I bend down. There's text on it. Scene 47. Restart number 19, proceeding normally. No deviations detected. Something inside me turns cold. Number 19. So this has happened before. The man suddenly lifts his head. Our eyes meet. There's fear in his. Not for me, for himself. He steps toward me and whispers, "You're not supposed to remember." "How many times?" I ask. He hesitates. The world around us begins to tremble like a screen with bad signal. 18, he answers, and at that moment, all sound cuts out. People freeze, but not like before. Now they turn toward me, all of them, at once, hundreds of eyes, identical, empty, and the voice no longer from the air, from them.
Anomaly persists, memory partially restored, prepare deep wipe. The man in the gray coat grabs my hand. His palm is warm, alive. Listen carefully, he says quickly. I'm not an actor. I noticed it once too. They allowed me to keep part of my memory to observe you. Why? Because you're the only one who goes further. The ground beneath us ripples. Building facades begin to flicker like broken textures. Further where? He looks at me as if deciding whether to tell me. Beyond the level. The word level sounds wrong. This isn't a show, and not a simulation in the usual sense. It's a filter. A filter for what? Consciousness. The world goes dark for a fraction of a second. It returns, but now the colors are less saturated, as if someone lowered the contrast. They restart the world over and over. Most people don't notice. Some notice and go insane. You, every time you reach the door. I remember the light, the voice, the restart. What's behind the door? I ask. He takes a step back. I don't know. They don't let me go there. At that moment, the asphalt cracks, not physically, like an image breaking into pixels. The voice returns, louder now. Observer interference detected. Delete. The man looks at me, for the first time, truly afraid. If you see a child with a red balloon, follow him. It's a routing glitch, the only unstable element. What child? But he's already dissolving, not disappearing, being erased, as if someone carefully removes him from the frame. The people around us resume their movement. Time continues, as if nothing happened. 6:13 p.m. I stand alone. In my hand, the sheet, but the text on it changes. Now it says, Scene 1, subject begins path again. The next day, I look for the child, and I find him. A boy about 7 stands on a street corner. In his hands, a red balloon, the only bright color in this slightly faded world. He looks straight at me, not through me, not past me, at me. You woke up again, he says calmly. Who are you? Not who, what? He smiles. I'm a rounding error. What does that mean? When the system was built, someone made a small inaccuracy. It accumulates with each cycle. He raises the balloon. It flickers slightly. You are the result of that inaccuracy. I'm a human. Yes, but with a remainder. My chest tightens. Can you get me out? He shakes his head. Not get you out, but show you. The boy throws the balloon into the air. It hangs there, and suddenly it bursts without sound. The world cracks. Now I see layers, the city like transparent plates, one above another. In each layer, me. Somewhere I open the door. Somewhere I lose my mind. Somewhere I'm erased earlier. Is that all me? Those are all versions. How many are there? Many, but only one remains. The layers begin to disappear. Only one world remains. This one. What happens if I reach the door again? The boy looks at me without smiling now. Then the filter completes its test. A test for what? He steps back. For the ability to step beyond assigned reality. Suddenly the sky darkens. The voice roars like thunder. Unstable element detected. Eliminate. The boy begins to dissolve. Wait, I shout. Remember, he says, the door is not the exit. The exit is refusal. Refusal of what? But he's gone. The world returns to normal. People walk. Cars move. Wind whispers. A week later, I stand before the hangar again. The door is still there. Staff exit.
The city behind me begins to dim again. The voice prepares to announce another restart. I reach for the handle and stop. I remember the boy's words. The door is not the exit is refusal. I let go of the handle, take a step back. I'm not playing, I say to the darkness. Silence. The city freezes, but it doesn't fade. The voice responds with distortion, command not recognized. I refuse to participate. The image begins to glitch, as if the system doesn't know what to do. Restart impossible, scenario incomplete. I feel the space around me losing form. The boundaries dissolve. There is no street, no hangar, no sky, only emptiness. And in that emptiness, me, without scenery, without script, without observers. And for all the cycles, the silence is real, not programmed, not staged, alive. Somewhere far away, a faint signal sounds. Filter past. The darkness begins to fill with light, but now it doesn't blind. It's soft, warm, and I understand. This isn't a restart. This is a beginning. And if somewhere, in some world, every Wednesday at 6:12 p.m., a man in a gray coat drops his folder, that's just one of the versions left behind. And I no longer repeat.